Hello hockey fans and welcome back to another video. As Phase 4 of the NHL's Return to Play programme finally gets underway, the long wait to see hockey back on our screens might be over, but things are gonna be a little different than usual. Due to the virus that's been going around for the last few months, all upcoming games, from the exhibition matches taking place over the next few days, all the way to the 2020 Stanley Cup Finals, will all be played without fans in attendance, meaning the biggest, most important games of the hockey season, usually sold out to tens of thousands of people, will instead be played in front of large screens and empty seats. Though fans will miss the opportunity to see their team lift the Stanley Cup in person, that doesn't mean the arenas will be lifeless or void of entertainment. After all, the play-by-play commentary will still be as good as ever, the music will still be blaring out between stoppages of play, and the on-ice product might well be some of the best we've seen in a very long time, given every player has had the opportunity over these last few months to rest up and recover from any nagging injuries. It may not be ideal, but everyone working behind the scenes will surely do their best to make up for the lack of noise coming from the stands. However, one game would also see plenty of empty seats and a distinct lack of fans, but for a completely different reason. This is the story of the lowest attended game in NHL history. Before we begin, I just want to mention that almost 80% of you who have watched my videos this month have not subscribed to my channel, so if you do enjoy this video and you want to see more like it in the future, consider hitting that subscribe button, it would really help me out a lot folks. But anyways, on with the video. In order to tell this fascinating tale, allow me to take you back to January 22nd, 1987. The Calgary Flames had arrived in New Jersey in order to take on the hometown Devils in each team's 48th game of the 86-87 NHL season. Up until that point in the year, the Flames had been the better of the two teams, having won 26 of their first 48 games compared to the Devils' 18, and sitting third place in their division, whilst the Devils sat dead last. This mid-season matchup between East and West had all the makings of a typical, run-of-the-mill regular season game. The Devils had sold just over 11,000 tickets and were hoping to kickstart a late-season resurgence by beating Calgary, whilst the Flames were looking to upset the local team and leave the Brendan Byrne Arena in East Rutherford having snagged 2 points from the hometown side. However, several hours before puck drop, the winter skies opened and Mother Nature left a gift for the chilly inhabitants below. By the early evening, close to 2 feet of snow had fallen all across the tri-state area, causing severe traffic congestion and bringing the city of New Jersey to a standstill. This sudden heavy snowfall would make getting to the arena a long and arduous affair for both teams, as not only were they contending with the elements, but several of the quickest routes to the arena had become blocked off, meaning the players and on-ice officials struggled to get to the rink on time for puck drop. Despite the challenges, the Flames were able to get to the rink on time since they were all staying in a hotel just across the street from the arena. The Devils, on the other hand, had a much more difficult time as they were all travelling separately from their respective homes. For example, Doug Sullivan would have to drive on the wrong side of the highway in reverse for roughly 2 miles. Peter McNabb would have to walk a couple of miles after abandoning his car near an overturned 18-wheeler, whilst Ken Danico jumped in a car with fellow Devils players Joe Sorella, Pat Verbeek, Kirk Muller and John McLean, and the group took almost 6 hours to get to the arena due to the traffic. Though the game was scheduled to begin at 7:30 PM, the opening face-off would have to be pushed back by almost 2 full hours due to the number of late arrivals. Once all the on-ice officials had made it to the rink just before 9 PM, they were eager to get the game started when the Devils had 14 of their players suited up and ready to go. But since this was a regular season game worth 2 points in the standings, the Devils refused to play unless they had their full roster at their disposal. So they snuck some of the late arrivals into the arena and hid them in the medical room and in the hallways, so they had less than 14 players available until the rest of the roster showed up. This led to both sides stepping out onto the ice for multiple warm-up sessions, including one warm-up where the Devils iced just 6 players, while on the other side of the rink the entire Flames roster was warming up. The players may have struggled to get to the game on time, but the fans who had bought a ticket had just as much, if not more, trouble. Due to the horrible weather, most fans either decided to stay at home and give it a miss as they didn't think the game would go ahead, or they had tried to get to the arena but were physically unable to make it, with some only getting as far as the end of their driveway. One fan claimed that it took him 3.5 hours to travel the usual 10-minute journey from his work to the arena, whilst another noted that the arena was so unprepared for such a low turnout that they hadn't closed off any sections of the stands and let anyone that showed up sit wherever they wanted to. Of the 11,000 fans that were expected to be at the game, just 334 actually showed up. Can you imagine an NHL game in an NHL-sized arena with just 334 fans in attendance? That's about 3% of the 11,000 tickets they sold for the game. In doing so, this regular season game between the Flames and the Devils set a new NHL record for the lowest attendance at an NHL game in the league's modern history. Now, before some of you consider mentioning it in the comments, no, the upcoming return to play games do not count towards this record because no tickets have been sold to fans, meaning the attendance figures are not applicable and therefore cannot count towards the record. At least that's how I see it anyway. Finally, after a couple of hours of waiting, Danico and the last of the Devils players arrived at the arena, quickly got into their gear, and the game finally got underway. Though the snow and the subsequent traffic problems had delayed proceedings by quite a while, the players on the ice wouldn't skip a beat, as a pair of goals were scored just over 5 minutes into the game by New Jersey's Perry Anderson and Calgary's Carey Wilson respectively. While the game was being played, the concession stand workers at the arena, who would usually be busy serving customers, decided to find a seat in the crowd and enjoy the show, whilst members of the Devils' public relations staff went around to every fan in attendance to get the names and addresses of those that had braved the elements and managed to make it to the historic game. After 65 shots had been taken, 12 goals had been scored, and 34 penalty minutes had been served, the final buzzer sounded, and the long-awaited game was finally over. The players then left the ice just after midnight the next morning, and the two teams headed to where they were sleeping for some well-deserved rest. Though many fans may have expected the Flames to take care of business, it was the New Jersey Devils that would have the last laugh, as they defeated Calgary by a score of 7-5. Peter McNabb would have a pretty decent night for himself with 4 assists, whilst Doug Sullivan would have one of, if not the best game of his entire NHL career, scoring a hat-trick and 5 total points to make him the first star of the night. As both players and fans alike made their long journeys home, those in attendance that night would relish the fact that they had been a part of an exclusive moment in NHL history. However, the excitement wouldn't stop there though, as just a few days later, each of the 334 fans in attendance would receive a package from the New Jersey Devils at their home address. For braving the harsh weather and for their dedication to the team, the Devils sent each fan a letter informing them that they were now a member of the new and exclusive 334 Club, whilst also enclosing a commemorative pin, a t-shirt highlighting the event, and tickets to the next game between the Devils and the Flames. Whether you like the New Jersey Devils or not, you can't deny that this was a classy move. Just another reason why hockey is the best sport around, eh folks? Following this historic, yet mostly empty-seated game, the two teams that battled it out that night would continue to trend in the same directions as before their famous bout. Calgary would finish the 86-87 season at second place in the Smythe division with a 46-31-3 record, before being eliminated in the first round of the playoffs by the Winnipeg Jets, whilst New Jersey would continue to struggle mightily, finishing with a 29-45-6 record, which tied them for last place in the entire National Hockey League alongside the Buffalo Sabres. The 334 Club would step away from its brief moment in the spotlight just as quickly as it had made it there, but its members would continue to proudly wear their shirts and display their commemorative pins as a reminder that they were one of the select few who was in the stands supporting their team on that snowy January night. Then, on January 22nd, 2012, 25 years after the event, all the members of the 334 Club were invited back to a Devils game and were treated to a private reception in order to celebrate their contribution in helping the Devils make history. If that's not a happy ending, I don't know what is. Though it may not have turned out how anyone could have expected or predicted, when the Calgary Flames and the New Jersey Devils faced off in January of 1987, they not only completed the game despite the odds being stacked against them, but the small number of fans who braved the elements and managed to take their seats in the stands helped to write it into the hockey history books. It may not be the most impressive record, but it's still a record nonetheless, one that only a few hundred people who were at the arena that night can boast that they were a part of. It's not the greatest game that was ever played, but it sure was a game to remember. And that's the story of the lowest attended game in NHL history. What do you guys think about the Flames-Devils game of January 1987 or the 334 Club? Do you think it was a good idea? I know I do, it sounds awesome. Let me know in the comments below, I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye! A big thank you to Antti Hannanen, Chris Gadsby, Connor B, John Plomin, Jordan Whitehead, Paul Mallia, Roman from London, The Legacy and Worthless Pieces, as well as a huge thank you to Let's Talk Hockey for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.